Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here, back again to document the end of the world as we know it. And another hot take in the car, low-grade video, the ones that YouTube loves to promote for some reason. You know, we're working on videos right now that are requiring days, if not weeks, to produce. And we know that they're probably not going to see half the views that these videos get for some reason. Maybe they like me being the crazy guy in the car that's just ranting on the fly every day. I don't know what it is. Anyways, guys, your time is valuable, so I'm not going to waste it. We're going to jump right into this because we got a lot of information to share. Okay, so I got a message from somebody in Latvia yesterday, and this is big, big news. This is very, very concerning for me. Probably the most concerning piece of news that I've heard within the last couple weeks at least. They sent me a link of a video of a Russian convoy moving towards the Finnish border, moving some what appeared to be some very advanced military equipment, possibly S-400 missile defense systems, moving into place along the Finnish border. These are, of course, some of the most advanced missile defense weapons in the world. Some people think they can be outfitted with surface-to-surface missiles or have other offensive capabilities. I don't know enough about that to speak about it. All I know is that this is pretty serious, and it's proven that they're moving towards the Finnish border because there's a sign that shows Helsinki, Finland, in the video, so you know that it's the real deal. Okay, now I'm sure they have all sorts of missiles there already, but just the fact that they're moving them into place now is slightly concerning, to say the least, in light of what's happened in the last 24 hours with the so-called chemical weapons attacks or threats of chemical weapons attacks. So this is very, very concerning. Now, this person is asking me for advice about when should we leave and all this stuff. And, you know, I was watching some videos last night of people in Mariupol who were asked, you know, why didn't you leave your home when you had the chance? And they basically said, you know, leave to what? You know, we don't have anything. This house is the only thing they have. And it was the saddest thing to watch, you know, just people who have nothing left but a home which has been basically reduced to rubble, and holding on, but still hopeful. And, you know, to see that the toughness of these people, you know, it was inspiring to see that even in those darkest moments, that the humanity will prevail. You know, I'm confident that humanity will prevail even in the harshest of conditions. But they're asking me for advice about, you know, what to do in that part of the world. I don't know enough about Europe to be able to give anybody advice on with respect to whether they should leave their home yet or not. I mean, if Russia's going to invade those Baltic states, you know, where do you go? Like, it's a gamble at this point because you just never know when it's all going to start to go down. I wish I had more specific advice for you. I guess just keep aware of, keep informing yourself with videos like this, and obviously go out and do a lot more research than just watching my videos, so you might get a head start if things do start to get pretty hot. Because we've seen when this whole thing started, there was a lot of warning signs for people to get out of Kiev before they had that opportunity, and they should have left and they didn't. But, you know, it is what it is. So this person also commented on how things are progressing in Latvia right now. And they say, for now in Latvia, society seems to be worried, but nobody is getting crazy. It also doesn't seem that a lot of people would be prepping. Of course, the media is questioning politics. Will NATO really defend Baltic states? My personal opinion, I am not sure with the current USA administration. Price of gas and diesel have jumped about 30 to 40%. Food prices about 20%. And we've had electricity and natural gas prices already jump from the previous autumn. So people have a lot less money, higher bills. And as all of this continues, I really do continue to expect things to rise. So it is a little bit hard to keep my mind calm. Wishing you the best for your family. Be safe. Thank you for doing what you're doing. That helps a lot. I really do appreciate messages like this, and just to know that some guy in a car in Canada is having an effect on people in Europe, and hopefully it's a positive one. And the whole goal with this channel, guys, is just to give you as much information as I can. Share your stories from around the world, because really that on-the-ground journalism is the best thing we have at deciphering what the hell is going on. And that's going to shape how we all prep moving forward. So inflation numbers came out today. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first, we got to talk about this chemical weapons stuff, because that is probably one of the biggest issues going on right now. We got a lot to talk about here, guys. It's so hard for me to sort out my notes nowadays because there's just too many things going on at the same time. So the U.S. claims that it cannot confirm the use of chemical weapons. Now, you need to understand that the definition of a chemical weapon is very vague. I mean, chemical weapon technically is tear gas, okay? Now, what's going on in Mariupol is that there's a battalion or a group, I don't know how big the group is, of soldiers who are still holed up in this port. And basically, I don't know if they're underground too far. They cannot get to these guys with missiles or whatever the case might be. So they're considering using some sort of gas to literally smoke them out of there. And of course, this would involve using chemical weapons. Now, what kind of chemical weapons? We don't know. We don't know if they have CBRN protection or what the case might be. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I would encourage people to remember what Biden specifically said. He specifically said it depends on the type of use. The reaction of the United States will be based on exactly what context it was used in. He said something to that effect. He made sure he chose his words very wisely, because they know that there's going to be situations like this where you might deploy such a thing. One of the rare situations when it might actually be tactically useful to use something like this to achieve what you're going to achieve anyways. And really, at the end of the day, you're talking about, maiming and killing people. And whether you do that with, whether you maim and kill soldiers with gas or some kind of chemical weapon and a bullet, is there really a huge difference in the grand scheme of things? Maybe you could say there's more of a slow, a torturous death. I don't know what the actual rationale is for that, but I'm pretty sure is that chemical weapons are frowned upon because they're indiscriminate. Okay, but if you're using it in a targeted way like that, is that going to be enough to elicit a reaction from NATO? It's really, really hard to say at this point. But anyways, they cannot confirm the use of it, although I believe that Russia itself came out and said we may have to use it in this scenario. Now, this is an interesting story. Ukrainian opposition leader arrested. Zelensky shares photo of Viktor Medvedchuk in handcuffs. Okay, I don't know anything about this guy. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed his delight on Tuesday after Kiev's successor to the Soviet-era KGB arrested the country's most prominent opposition leader. Okay, well, you can bet that this is a story that's from RT, okay? Just the way that they're being a bit sarcastic there. The president showed a photo of his handcuffed rival, Viktor Medvedchuk, on social media with the caption, "A special operation was carried out by the SBU. Well done. Details to follow." Well, that sounds like Western democracy at work right there. Okay. This is an ironic story. Old German tanks could be sent to Ukraine. How ironic would it be if German tanks driven by the Azov battalion were fighting the Russians in Ukraine? I mean, anybody who knows anything about World War II knows why that's painfully ironic. Anyways, these Leopard 1 tanks, I believe they were built in the 1960s. I don't know if it's going to make it there, though, because apparently Germany was recently snubbed by Kiev. They were not invited to Kiev, because you know how they're all the presidents and prime ministers are trying to show how tough they are by going to Kiev for the PR stunt. Apparently they were not invited there, and there's still a little... Ukraine's still upset with them for buying Russian natural gas, even though if they were to stop buying Russian natural gas, their economy would likely collapse. So, I mean, sorry, we don't want to collapse our economy at the drop of a hat. Sorry, there has to be, a slight phasing out before we do that. This is another story here. China ships weapons to Serbia. The move has spurred fears of an arms buildup by Russian ally amid the Ukraine crisis. A Chinese official confirmed on Monday that Beijing had made a delivery of military equipment to Serbia under a long-standing partnership with the Balkan nation. But the transfer has reportedly rattled nerves in the West as media outlets warned of an arms buildup by a Russian ally amid the Ukraine crisis. So we're seeing Hungary, who's kind of on the fence. We're seeing Serbia, who's clearly on the Russian side. We're seeing Belarus, who's on the Russian side. We're seeing the Baltics, who aren't sure if NATO is going to step in. You guys see how this picture is starting to shape up? You got nukes, or maybe not nukes, but I'm sure there's probably nukes around there. You got nuclear weapons potentially in Kaliningrad. You have these missile defense systems being moved towards the Finnish border. You have these threats, these red lines being made, these ultimatums about chemical weapons. Do you see where this is going? This is not de-escalating at all. I don't see an off-ramp here. I really don't see an off-ramp unless Russia feels like their mission has been accomplished. And I think that's the only way it's going to end. Ukraine says it thwarted a Russian cyber attack on the power grid. Ukrainian officials have accused Russian hackers of attempting to launch a destructive cyber attack on the country's electrical grid. The group, dubbed Sandworm by security researchers and previously tied to destructive cyber attacks attributed to Russia, deployed destructive and data-wiping malware on computers controlling high-voltage substations in Ukraine. Now, you might ask, why would they care to use a cyber attack when they could just literally blow up the transformers? They could do that if they wanted to. Well, the reason why is simple. I think they want to have some of Ukraine left intact because those would be the easiest targets. There's no missile defense systems, around the transformers. Think about what it takes to cause a power outage on your block. One down power line. I mean, you're talking about a country that has all manner of different types of cruise missiles, hypersonic missiles. They could easily take out the power grid if they wanted to. The fact that they aren't says something. The fact that they're trying to use cyber to preserve the actual physical infrastructure is saying something. So, a lot going there on that front. Let me just see what else we got here. We got so much to talk about, guys. I can't even keep all my notes sorted. I'm doing this in a freaking car. We're in the process of building a new studio. And I must tell you guys, we got some more lighter-hearted, fun videos for you coming up this week. So it's not all doom and gloom. It can't be, right? Okay, so this is another message that I received from somebody in Poland. And I'm just going to quickly run through this because we're really running out of time here. They're saying that food prices are going up almost weekly. I'm thinking, what is the break-even point? And inflation spiral will start speeding up. We know that inflation rates are up to 8.5% year over year. Remember when Powell said that there wasn't going to be any inflation? You remember that? You remember when they said that, Afghanistan was going to be fine? You remember that? Remember when they said that there was not going to be a war? Yeah, you remember all that. Okay. I saw a message that the EU is going to stock up on CBRN things. I think within a few weeks there will be no masks, filters, gloves, suits available. Yeah, we've been saying that for the last month, and I do sincerely apologize. I am so frustrated. We were supposed to receive a shipment from the Czech Republic for several gas mask filters, and it's been stuck in this customs loop with the Canadian border, whatever. Anyways, it's en route now, okay? We're going to be getting it soon. So please bear with us. We're doing our best. I'm losing sleep over not being able to get people their gear out in time, but we will get it out in time. I will ride it out Kevin Costner postman style if I have to. Due to the Ukrainian conflict, there is no ammo. You can't buy any ballistics, digital night vision, thermal vision. Everything is sold out. At police department, where you can get or buy permission for guns, or you have to register your new guns you recently bought, there are long waiting queues. A year ago, there was almost none. A year ago in my city, the register around 100 guns per month. Now it's 300 guns per month. So everybody is starting to arm up. So at least I'm glad that people are prepping in that part of the world, and that people are seeing the writing on the wall. So here's a graph to show you how bad inflation is right now. 40-year high with inflation, but we all know it's a lot worse than that because they're only basing that on your non-fixed expenses, not your fixed expenses. It's your fixed expenses. Things like gasoline, okay, other types of gas, natural gas, groceries, rent. Those are the things that cost you the most amount of money. The World Food Program from the UN warns that global food supply issues will be a multi-year problem. A multi-year problem. The world is facing a multi-year problem in the food supply as the war in Ukraine drives global food prices higher and disrupts the production of staple crops. David Beasley, WFP's executive director, issued this warning at a news conference in Rome after French and EU officials met there to discuss a food security initiative in response to the conflict. We have Argentinian grain truckers going on strike, threatening exports amid the harvest. So truckers in Argentina began an open-ended strike on Monday to demand higher rates for transportation of grain and livestock, an action that could hit grain exports during a key part of the harvest. So the people who are supposed to be transporting the food don't even want to do it because they're not getting paid enough. Okay. What else do we got here? U.S. inflation. We already kind of talked about that. In terms of things on the weather front, Chile announces an unprecedented water rationing plan as drought enters 13th year. The plan features a 4-tier alert system that goes from green to red and starts with public service announcements, moves on to restricting water pressure, and ends with rotating water cuts of up to 24 hours for about 1.7 million customers. If you guys haven't seen it yet, go and watch a video we produced last week about the coming food crisis. And we talk about all these things, the environmental factors and all the other inputs into the system that are creating the perfect storm of events. We have April 1st. Snowfall was the first ever recorded in Portland. The jet stream is completely screwed. It was like plus 20 here last week, and it's minus 5 here today. And I've never seen such wild weather extremes in my life. And I haven't been around as long as some people, but I tell you, it's been very, very strange. And I'm looking towards another season of forest fire smoke, which has been for the last 5 years, every single year. And that never used to happen before. We have India also reaching record high temperatures as well. And I believe that the methane output, the global methane output, hit a record last year as well. So it doesn't really matter if you believe in anthropogenic climate change or not, because nothing's going to get done about it, because that whole unipolar globalized world that we used to live in, where there may have been some impetus to do things of a global nature to curtail carbon emissions or do carbon sequestering or whatever the case might be, it's not going to happen anymore anyways. So don't worry. And if it does happen, then, there's going to be a big uproar, because we know that the other countries aren't going to do the same thing, and it's not going to put us on a competitive footing. So you can pretty much bet that regardless of what your views are of it, I mean, most people who believe that we are past the tipping point with climate change, they don't think there's anything you could do anyways. And the people who don't believe it's happening, now you don't have to worry, because nothing will be done anyway. So everybody's kind of happy and kind of sad at the same time. I don't know. Anyways, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.